Hey everybody, JJ here. Bull, boom, bear, bust. It is Tuesday, March 24th. If you did not think that stocks were manipulated, take a look at today's action. Up almost 9% on the Dow Jones, S&P up over 7%, NASDAQ over 6%. Now, what is the good news, you ask? Well, it's the hope or the expectation of this middle class, working class bailout, the stimulus that's being debated right now. Basically, between the left and the right, there's a lot of things that they agree on, but a lot of things they disagree on. But you notice how the stimulus for the banks and the liquidity injections over the past 6 months or so wasn't really too much debate about that. It's billions, billions, and trillions, no questions asked. When it comes to the people, the working class, maybe send out $1,000 or $2,000 to Americans. Then it's a big debate. Then you have all these holdups, and no, we need to include that or don't include this. Right, so just that alone should tell you what kind of system that we're living under right now. Right, so we're going to talk a little bit more about this stock market roaring and what it could lead to here with the events that are going to unfold in the next few months. The stimulus hope. Is the working class bailout going to be a solution? Well, we'll give you the answer to that. Also, 69 million Americans are projected to miss their credit card payment, and this is after only a few weeks of being out of work, or a few weeks into this slowdown here that we're seeing. Pretty much more than a slowdown. It's almost a screeching halt. But just the fact that it's only been a few weeks and almost 70 million people are projected to miss their payment tells you something about the U.S. consumers' strength, what they call the strong consumer, right? All right, first let's talk about the stock market. Is it just me, or is this way too big of a gain considering all of the bad economic news and forecasts that are being put out there? Right? It was just yesterday we talked about all these predictions of a second Great Depression, which I think is very possible. But look at the stock market today. It would only take, 6 or 7 days of 1,500 gains to get back to 30,000. Now, am I saying that's going to happen? Well, I don't have a crystal ball, just like any of us. But it is very possible. And just think about if they do pass the stimulus, and I think that they will pass it eventually. What's going to happen? We're going to see a 2,000, 3,000 day to the upside in the stock market, right? Pretty amazing. Now, remember, I'm not taking anything off the table. This is still the first term of this president, and I think that before November, he wants to try to turn this thing around. And we do see that he's working with the FDA to try to get the sickness drug out into the public there, and it is showing promising results in tests. Right? No, I'm not an expert on medications. I'm not an expert on viruses, and I'm not involved in the medical field. But I'm saying if this news that we've seen so far, just the hope of a stimulus package for the middle class, what happens if there is a stimulus package when it's passed? And imagine what could happen if a drug is announced that's going to slow down the spread of this sickness. Can you imagine if we're seeing a 7, 8, 9% gain today? What could happen? This market could jump back up in a matter of days on some real good news. We haven't really seen much good news at all yet, and we've still had some pretty big green days. Now, so far, these green days are just dead cat bounces in a bear trend, downtrend in the stock market overall, right? But if we've learned anything from this, is things can turn around very quickly. Now, I think long term that we're still headed for some very, very dark times here in the economy, but in the near term, considering all the political agendas out there, expect a lot of volatility, and it could get even more crazy than any of us expect. I don't think anybody expects it to go to 30,000, but I'm saying it could happen if those two things play out like I just said. The virus gets contained, the sickness gets contained. Maybe it'll be a drug, maybe it'll just be a natural containment from all the quarantines and the social distancing that everybody's talking about, combined with the stimulus package, getting people back to work, plus the stimulus. Can you imagine what they might try to do? They might try to shoot the stock market up so fast that the short sellers are going to see their head spinning, right? Am I betting on those things happening? No, I'm not betting on it. I'm just kind of sitting back and watching this right now. All right, there's too many unpredictable moving parts here for me to get involved right now. Right, when it comes to trying to analyze political agendas and medical sickness outbreak situations, I tend to say, hey, I'm just going to step back, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing. Things are just too insane right now, too unpredictable, and too crazy. Now, what many people are doing, and myself included, is we're looking for other places to find a safe spot, so to speak. Not a safe space like you might hear, but a safe spot for your money. And people are moving into metals. Looks like gold's getting a bid today, up over 3.5%. Bitcoin jumped back up. It got down into the 5,000 range. Could these be the safe havens where people are just going to say, hey, I'm getting out of the stock market. I'm going to put my money somewhere where it's going to be more stable and safe. And I'm not saying those are stable and safe, but I'm saying many people are looking at those as safe haven assets. Right? Just take a look at gold. People thought that gold would be 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 by now because of all the Fed money printing and the stimulus. The Fed's balance sheet, almost $5 trillion now. What was it, 4.7 trillion? And still, gold is, not anything close to taking off like many of the quote-unquote experts had predicted. But we do know it's beat down on the paper market. The futures market, for example, look at the silver spot price down $11, $12, but you cannot find physical silver for less than $17, $18. If you can find it, it's sold out at a lot of exchanges, or a lot of bullion dealers rather. All right, so there's just so much fraud and manipulation out there. It's hard to know exactly what to do. So all we can do is analyze the stats here and take a look at it and try to come to some common sense analysts here. All right, and sometimes even common sense doesn't make sense in this market. Okay, so we've got stocks roar, stimulus hope, plus let's add something to that. Let's say medical solution. Right, a medical solution, just a glimmer of hope in stopping this pandemic. Maybe it'll be a medication, we'll have to see. All right, but what about this working class bailout? Is a check of $2,000, $3,000, whatever $1,000 per person or per family, is that going to really change things in the long term? No, it might help for a while. But 69 million people now are projected to miss a credit card payment, right? And people have only been out of work, in some cases just a few days, in some cases a few weeks. In some cases, people haven't lost their jobs at all. Some people still have their jobs and they're getting their hours cut down. But just a staggering number, nearly 70 million people. That should tell you on the real tough spot that U.S. consumers are in right now. Again, it's about 70% of the population lives paycheck to paycheck. Many people, about half the people, do not even have $1,000 put away in savings. So we can see that this whole thing could snowball very quickly if some good news doesn't start happening here in the next few weeks. All right, so this economy is at a critical juncture. I'm going to keep an eye on it here for you. And here's the support here, by the way. This is out of Wallet Hub. The bad spot that consumers are in, no, this bailout or this middle class stimulus or working class stimulus or bailout, as some are calling it, is not going to be the solution. And in fact, there's calls for continuous payouts and a UBI type of payout per month. Right, look at this. We've got Sanders out there calling for $2,000 a month to every household during the crisis. So as you can see, we are looking as a country more heavily towards UBI type of continuous payouts. Now, why stop just after the crisis? Now, some people are asking why just during the crisis. Let's do it permanently, like an Andrew Yang type of thing. Is that going to be the solution? No, I think it's going to make the problem worse, because you're going to have people getting money for nothing, which is already a problem, because when people get money for nothing, it discourages them from working, and then you're going to see lower and lower production. Right? Imagine if all the U.S. farmers just said, hey, I'm going to get $2,000 a month, I can live on that, I'm going to stop farming, I'm going to stop growing food. So then what? We'll have to get all of our food from either imported or get it from a factory farm, or maybe one major corporation can make up all the food. We'll have one big farm. Maybe the Fed can run the farm. All right, crazy, but is it really that crazy when you look at everything else that's going on? All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Please come back to the channel for more updates on the economy, financial news, and more. Ride the bull, prepare for the bear. Bye for now.